Happy Friday, everybody. I just want to make sure that the mics are on because Evo likes to not put our mics on sometimes.
Yeah, we got audio.
But tonight we have a very special guest with us today. So welcome back to another Shit Talk Fridays. I'm Gina. And this is my very good friend Jen that's joining us tonight for Ladies Night.
Hey.
So tonight we have some fun topics for you. And of course, right as we go live, my cat decides to put her little ass in the screen. Like, look at her right now. I don't even understand her right now. Anyway, so we decided to talk about dating now versus then, which is an interesting topic because, not to give anybody's ages, but Jen and I are 20 years age difference. How she's my friend, I have no fucking clue. But before we get started, let's cheers. I'm drinking my regular schmegula wine. Jen, I don't even know. Evo made her some concoction.
Tequila.
Let's cheers to a ladies' night, Shit Talk Fridays. And for all intents and purposes, I'm also going to cheers with Evo. He's actually in the background moderating for us tonight. And just so we're clear, this was Evo's idea to do this.
Oh,
I did not come up with this. Evo was like, why don't you do a live with Jen? And I was like, okay.
I mean, we'll just kind of switch things up a bit, see how it goes.
Okay. We'll see how this goes.
We'll see how this goes.
Mastermind.
Yeah, I guess so. What I will say is, I think it was a great idea for him to make this suggestion because honestly, when we talked about what we were going to talk about and you said dating now versus then, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense because if him and I were to talk about it, I don't feel like it would have made as much sense considering that you are currently dating now and I can talk about what it was like dating back then. But if Evo and I were to talk about it, there would be no now. Like, I actually had a hard time talking about, like, coming up with some of the topics about now because I was like, I don't fucking know. I haven't dated in fucking, like, 20 years. Evo and I have been married for, it's going on 11 years. We've been together almost 20 years. So it's like, I have no... Yeah, I know absolutely nothing about dating. But one of the first things I wanted to talk about that is totally separate from fucking what we're talking about tonight is if you are not watching Squid Games on Netflix, do yourself a favor after the live, go and press play. That's all I'm gonna say. Squid Games on Netflix. One thing, in addition, if you don't like subtitles, I'm sorry, but you have to listen to it with the subtitles because the English dub is absolutely fucking horrible.
Oh, is it a different language?
Yes, it's in Korean.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have like an English audio where it's like they're there's like it's a voiceover in English, but you can see they're moving the lips in Korean, but it totally takes away from like the drama and all the action of it. You got to listen to it like you got to listen to their the intensity in the Korean and then read it in the English subtitles.
He said Indo-Korean.
The Korean.
We're gonna get blacklisted for that.
Oh no.
All right, so anyway, let's get into our topics for tonight. So dating now versus then. And one of the first things that I immediately thought about when I thought about dating now versus then is texting. And the reason why I thought about that was because when I was dating Evo, texting did not exist. We literally had to call each other, which now, if someone was to call me now, I'd be like, the audacity. Don't even...
Me.
Don't even call my... First of all, if you have not texted me to warn me that you were going to call me, I'm not going to take your phone call. And if you call me, I don't know the phone number, and you don't leave a voicemail, don't ever think I'm ever going to talk to you, ever. Like, I will not pick up the phone. So the fact that your generation really lives off of texting, I find it so crazy because I don't even know... I couldn't imagine dating through that facet because there's so much, I feel like so much emotion gets lost in translation. Like, would you like, I don't know, like you need to let me know. What do you think? Do you feel like you can actually have a good communication in a relationship through texting?
Well, for me, that's the reason why I don't prefer texting as like my main form of communication. I prefer FaceTime, and I know a lot of people also prefer FaceTime, but I just don't like how any little thing can just be viewed as like passive aggressive over text, or you can just be very perceived as like very emotionless. Like I know I'm a very blunt person over text, and I know that for some people they're gonna be like, "Are you joking?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I'm joking," but it's like a lot of yourself gets lost in it, and I don't really like it for that reason. But like I know a lot of people my age, they'll go through like the 7 stages of grief over text, like and I was at that point at some point, like earlier on when I was freshly single out of like my past relationship. But like, there's so many people that are like that, and I think it takes time to get over like putting everything into that little tiny text box that you want to send.
Wait, so what is this what is this 7 stages of grieving through text? Because honestly, I have no fucking clue what that is. I'm like, how are you grieving through text messages? You need to explain this to me.
So it's definitely like, it was a joke, but they'll develop like the whole beginning stages of their relationship, and then they'll go through the honeymoon stages where all they send is like really emotional, like honeymoon, like cutesy types of texts. And then, you know, you can have arguments over text. And like for me, like I'm the type of person that if you were having like a heated argument, don't even bother texting me. Like, you call me. Like, you're gonna call me and you're gonna FaceTime me. Like, I don't care, because if you can't reach me at the moment and we can't be face to face, I'm not doing this over text. And there are some people in my generation that will just prefer to argue over text, and it's more toxic that way, I think. And then there's people who break up, and there's people who ghost each other. Like, it's like, that's what I mean, like 7 stages of grief. You go through the whole relationship over text.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I find that so crazy, because honestly, the whole thought of like, how can I put this? The whole thought of like having emotions tied to an electronic device, because essentially when you receive a text message and like maybe like it's like a cute emoji or something like that, and you're getting it from the person that you're dating, it like gives you a feeling, but you're getting that feeling through the device versus getting it through them in person.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of mind-blowing to me, because I feel like it does something to the relationship where like, if the person then doesn't see text messages from that particular person that they're dating, whether it be the girl to girl, guy to guy, whatever it is, then it could leave room for people to get upset at the other person because you didn't text me today, you didn't tell me you loved me, or whatever it is. Whereas when Evo and I dated, it was just kind of like, hey, talk to you later, or you know, we made time to make conversations on the phone, or we made time to see each other. Like, I'll never forget, one of the things that really like fucking put it in the coffin for me and Evo was one time I called him while I was at school, and he wasn't in school that day, and I was like, hey, what's up? You know, how are you? Just, you know, noticing you're in school today. And he was like, yeah, what's up? I was like, no, I'm just kind of, you know, wishing you were here. And he was like, all right, bet, I'm gonna come get you. And I was like, what? So like that kind of shit, like, could you imagine like contacting someone just to let them know how you feel, like you're missing them, and then they come and get you, and you're like, oh my God, he's coming to get me?
Can we please just have like a side quest? The fact that you would text a guy, like, I wish you were here, like, I miss you, like, that just sends chills down my spine. Like, I could never do that.
Really?
Yeah. I struggle with that. Like, I know a lot of girls can do that. I can't do that. Like,
so what do you mean? Like, you could never tell a guy that you are...
First and foremost,
okay,
a lot of people my age can't candidly say I miss you. It's an ego thing. Like, it's such an ego thing that a lot of people have, like, they just struggle.
So what is that? Is
with
that
expressing
like, like an expression of vulnerability?
Yeah, a lot of people don't like being vulnerable.
Don't want to be vulnerable.
And the people that I am vulnerable with, like the people I've dated, and they like are previous situationships or previous relationships, and I'm like, and I have a healthy friendship with them, those are the only people that I can say stuff like that to. Like, I miss you, but they know it's like leaving it as a friend. But isn't that crazy?
I'll be honest, I'm kind of mind blown by that, because I consider you a very alpha female.
Oh,
do you not agree?
I don't know.
And Mark, welcome to the stream, and Eddie, welcome to the stream. So Eddie says there's definitely an expectation that someone should be readily available to respond to texts nowadays. Okay, so that is something that also kind of blows my mind, because texting is an immediate thing where, like, no matter where you are, you could be fucking in the gym, at the beach, someone sends you a text message, there is no disconnecting. So do you feel like when you get a text message from someone that you're potentially, I don't know, dating, right? Because we're talking about dating. So like the early stages of dating. And if you get a text message from them and you're doing something that you consider disconnecting. So like, let's say you're on a hike. Let's say you're at the beach. Let's say you're, I don't know, doing something of that facet. Yoga, working out, I don't know. Do you stop what you're doing to answer their text messages?
It depends on who they are. Because there's like a stigma, like a taboo thing with dating, especially in the early stages, that if you're giving someone a rundown of what you're doing throughout their day, or if you're just responding in that immediate thing, like in that immediate moment, then it just shows you that you're being needy or you're giving too much commitment to that person already. Even though if you're like, just got off work, or like just went on a hike, like that for some people is just like too much to handle. Like it's too much commitment. But you're just like casually talking to them. Is that so weird?
I listen, anything you fucking say to me about your generation and how you guys and ladies choose to do things, I'm gonna find weird only because I'm a very forward person. I have no filter. If I like you or if I want to do something, if I want to hang out, I'm just fucking telling you off the rip. So whether it's through text messages, whether I'm calling you, whether I'm doing it in person, and let's be real, I went up to Evo. When I saw Evo, I was like, yo, I don't know what's your deal. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you're dating, but like, I like you. Can we exchange phone numbers? I don't have any issue. I'm okay with putting myself out there. But for you to tell me that a lot of people in your generation are afraid of putting themselves out there and it's an ego thing, where do you think that stems from? Because I'm going to tell you what I think it is. But first, I want you to tell me why your generation is like that, or people in your generation rather.
I think there's a lot of back and forth in my generation. So I think there's a cycle that I wanted to talk about today.
Okay.
So I think that a lot of people my age start off in this very, like, you know, high school relationship, very much puppy love. And then they break up, you know, as life goes on. And then they potentially meet someone who's toxic. Or they meet multiple people that are toxic. And then they change. And then they become the person who is the more romantic person to the complete opposite, where they become like so full of love, and then they become super, super cold for no reason. Well, with reason. And then they just kind of stay in this little limbo, and everyone is just like going back and forth, trying to figure out what's part of that cycle you're on. And I think that's why a lot of people are not compatible, because while someone could be so like such a hopeless romantic, they get shamed for it because they're like, you don't know anything. It's like, it's sad because the people who are romantics, like I am very romantic, I have to hide it basically because it's viewed as like a taboo. It's very weird.
When you say it's viewed as taboo, who are the people that are making these things taboo?
People who, I want to say like the dating veterans, like the people who have gone through situationships and relationships and friends with benefits, and like I feel like they're just, I don't know. I think there's that whole community that just judges people for dating, like,
okay,
traditionally, basically.
I'm going to tell you where I think this comes from.
Let me know.
I think this comes from social media. Yes. I think that social media is putting out this fantasy of what dating is and what relationships should look like. So when you're not doing that, people will shame you for it. But I feel like it comes from both ends, and I feel like it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I feel like if you show too much PDA, people are going to shame you for it. They're going to be like, oh my God, this guy and this girl on fucking Instagram, they're always posting pictures of them kissing and this, that, and the third. And then if you're not doing it enough, if you're not really showing your partner a lot on Instagram, they're like, oh, he's cheating or she's cheating. They're not showing their part. It's social media. This is my own theory. I have no fucking true evidence to this, but from what I see, I feel like one of the things that I've noticed is that when people are really not happy on social media, they portray that they are really happy. Like they're constantly posting pictures of their boyfriend or their girlfriend and things that they're doing, and in actuality, they're not happy. they're like putting up this facade. And then people who are looking for happiness, people who are looking to be in a happy relationship, they then compare themselves to what the fuck they're seeing on social media. And they're like, well, Jen and her boyfriend, they went hiking the other day, and then they went to Costa Rica. So like you make this comparison. There's this quote that says comparison is the thief of joy. And that's where I think it comes from. And like, I don't know, tell me what you think, but I honestly think that social media really fucking buries it for you guys.
The first thing I want to say to that is, how many times have you seen those relationship posts that are like, Brian, you and I have had our ups and downs, but we're so strong. Like, that's the first thing that comes to mind. And then like everyone who knows them, it's like just looking at it like, hello? Mm-hmm. Like, no one needs to know all that. I was very much the type of girlfriend that would post like everything, because I genuinely was happy with that person, but I was also a lot younger. And now I feel like I think a lot of people get frowned upon for posting their significant other, because it comes with connotations of cheating. And like, if you post your significant other, people are going to go in his DMs and they're going to see him and they're going to try to get with him. And then I think some people just like taking pictures with their significant other. However, like you said, like there's also those people who, if, like I said on my Instagram the other day, like I think it's very strange if people don't post their significant other on social media.
Okay, I have feelings about that, and I'll tell you why, but I'm going to read some comments first. And Raul, which is such a great name because I'm fostering a cat right now, and his name is...
Hi, Raul.
Raul. And thank you for joining us. And Mark says, I almost stopped talking to my now, parentheses, now wife, when she didn't want to hang out the first time I asked. I was like, well, she's not feeling me. That's interesting. I think sometimes when you approach a person, it could just be that they are kind of either one taken off, like caught off guard, or they're like a little nervous to interact. That doesn't mean that they don't want to date you, unless you come off as a douchebag. But obviously you're married to her, so I don't think that that's what the case was. And then Anthony, thank you for joining the stream. He says, it's from people being hurt in the past and hookup culture. You can never tell if the other person is looking for a relationship or just hooking up nowadays. So you hide your romantic side.
Yeah, he's a Cancer, he knows.
Could it also be that the facade that people put up on social media, right, it's a very like, whatever picture you're painting of yourself, but then when you get to know somebody personally and you're like showing your soft side, which you can't show on social media, and all of a sudden starts pulling from like this image that you put, and it makes you look weak.
I like that Evo said that, because literally some of the best people I've ever met dating wise, like, have been the best people who have not seen me at all on social media. Like, they have not seen anything. Like, they have just met me at parties or they've just seen me out, and they're like, your energy is so crazy. Whereas the people who have met me on social media, they're like, you come across as such a bitch, da 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 da. And it's like, no, you don't know anything about me on social media.
People, they all of a sudden they make their own they have their own image and thoughts and feelings about you based on what they see on social media. And then when they start to like learn about you, the other side of you, it's all of a sudden like, especially like, nobody's soft and cuddly and mushy on social media. Yeah. So when you're expressing those emotions via text, like, oh, I miss you or stuff like that, I can see how that could be like like frowned upon.
I think though that what people don't understand that is a part of who Jen is. Like, I'm just using you as an example. Her persona on Instagram is a part of who she is. I'm not saying, but that's not all who you are. And I think that people potentially are looking at people that have the type of persona that made, like, for example, like what you have on social media, and they think that that's all of you. And that's not all of you. And then when you maybe give them the other layers, it confuses them. Yeah. But again, I feel like that's the trap of social media, is because people have this perception of how someone should be. And then when you try to date this person, you expect them to be what their persona is on social media all the time, which is confusing to me, because if you don't expect people to have layers to them, I almost would consider you like a little bit of like, I would consider that very naive. If you think that if you think that a person doesn't have multiple layers to them, and to be honest, I would want someone to have layers. Like, I would love if someone had this like wicked ass persona on Instagram, but then behind closed doors they were like, do you want to get this pizza and fucking binge watch Friends, you know, like that type of shit. I think I personally would love that, because you feel like you were getting more of them.
Yes.
But I feel like, oh God, I hate to keep harping on the social media thing, and it fucking sucks, because I feel like people really look at social media and they aspire to think. How many times have one of you and your girlfriends sent you a picture of another girl on Instagram and go goals? And you don't even know what that girl's done to get to that point, but you look at her image and you say, I want to be that, with not understanding the full picture, which I think that's very innocent as a whole. But I feel like that's what happens with relationships. When people, I can't tell you how many times people have told Evo and I that Evo and I are a goal relationship, but they have no fucking clue what Evo and I have gone through to get to this point, and it is grueling. And I know the majority of people will not
There you go.
will not do what him and I did to get to this point. But I wanted to say something really quick when you talked about posting. Could you give me Evo? Could you? She can't be there. Chloe thinks it's party time, and she wants to hang out, and she can't do that right now. Oh, I'm sorry.
Surprise guest.
Yeah, well, no, she's here all the time, but she thinks it's always party time, and it's not party time. Okay, so I wanted to comment on something that you said earlier.
Okay.
So you said about posting people on social media, and I'm going to tell you my feelings on that.
Okay.
I do. Okay.
I feel like I'm gonna get bow right
No,
now.
no, it's not you. It's not you. It's just my feelings. But real quick. So Eddie says, do you think that people who respond immediately or express a desire to be with someone they are seen as thirsty? I feel like there's an unspoken game being played.
Can I answer that?
Yes, go right ahead, and then I'll say what I have to say.
Okay. I think it depends. If a guy has like nice guy energy, like they're, you know, texting you, commenting you, DMing you, and they're saying all these nice things, and it's like very sudden, like you just met them, and there's like a very specific tone that comes out of it, like, oh my God, Jennifer, you're so beautiful, or oh, Gina, you're so beautiful, like you could never be with like a guy like me. There's a very specific tone to it, and there's a very bitterness afterwards if you don't reciprocate that, because they're like, they shame you for not wanting to. I think it depends. And then there's the type of guy that'll just give you like a very straightforward compliment, and I think that's normal. That's respectable. That's how you have a conversation with an adult.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There's a very different toxicity and tone to how they say it.
So you feel like some of the people that say it, they're looking for you to say it back to them, and it's more about them. Okay, it's more about you making them feel good versus them making you feel good. Where the other way, when it's a genuine comment or, you know, like I miss you or whatever it is, it's about them making you feel good. I would totally agree with that, and it's funny that he brings that up, because what I will say is this. When I used to date, I had guys in the past that would or have had said things to me what I consider to be very early on, like, you know, like I love you, like I'm really feeling you, and it would be, when I say early, I mean early, like it'd be like a couple days. And a joke that I used to have was, I would ask these guys what was my middle name. And a lot of the times they couldn't answer me. And I would say to them, if you don't know my middle name, then you don't know me. So you may be in love with what you're feeling right now, but you don't know me as a person as a whole. So for you to give me that type of strong feeling right away, it's not authentic. You're being swept up in your own thoughts right now. So I would agree with you that there's definitely like, it's the way that it's delivered.
It 100% is the way it's delivered, yeah.
But I would agree that some people do feel like there's a game behind that, because what will happen is a guy will genuinely say that to a girl, and a girl won't know how to respond to it, and she'll ghost the guy over that type of shit.
I'm the type of girl that will ghost a guy over that shit.
Are you for real? What? Okay, wait. if they're doing it genuine?
No.
Okay, so but if you feel like it's coming from the wrong
On
place.
social media, there's a point blank difference.
Okay.
There are probably 50 guys in my DMs right now I have not answered because they all want one thing.
Okay.
And they can compliment me. They can send me hard eyes. They can swipe up and give me all these types of reactions and stuff. But it's not genuine. There's a difference. Like, there are guys who will talk to me about stuff I like Marvel. And they'll talk to me about, like, what movies or, like, what photo shoots I might have or whatever. Like, and they're genuinely trying just to have a conversation. And I don't view it as romantically. But then there's the other type that are like, mamacita, so spicy. Like, it's like... No. And then there are other guys that are like, you look so beautiful today. And, you know, like, I appreciate it. Like, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you know, there are some people that I feel like are not worth a response because I feel like they're just creeping.
But do you think, I'm just wondering, because social media has now gotten to the point where, like, when a person puts themselves out there and they're putting their self out there in a way that is more sexual, do you think that warrants the type of maybe DMs that you get?
Yes. But I also think that the reason why I, like, let's say I like other girls, like other influencer type girls. I'm not saying I'm an influencer, but the type of girls who are openly and outwardly confident, that brings a challenge. And I feel like that weeds out a very specific type of guy. For me, I think the type of guy that will see that type of persona I put on Instagram and they'll be like, hey, I'd really like to take you out on a date. Let's go to the museum. Let's go do this. Let's do that. I'm like, that is so sexy to me. I'm like, that is like the best way to get my attention versus like there are guys that are like, you post all these pictures. I'm like, I wonder how many guys are in your DMs. Like, shut up. Like, shut up. Like, no, I am outwardly confident and I would like someone who is not intimidated by that and would maybe in the future, like if I would to get serious with them, I'm not saying that I would keep up the same content. I don't know, but I would not want that to be like a deal breaker for them. Like they would just see past it because they're at the end of the day, they know who they're coming home to. They know who they're going to get at the end of the day. They know how I act in person. They see past the person I put on social media.
So
Well-
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you.
Okay.
But it kind of sounds like you wouldn't mind dating a guy who let you be you, and then maybe you just decided to hang all that up on your own just because your life's taking a different toll, and you don't feel like maybe you want to start posting different content.
I mean, I feel like that's more geared towards you, but what I will say to that is, if a guy is going to approach a girl like Jen with the type of persona that she portrays on social media, I feel like he has to be 100% fully acceptant of the type of content that you post, and I don't think that you should have to change it in the least bit. And that's my personal opinion. I'm very firm on those type of things, and the reason why I say that is because when Evo and I first met, I was very much a free bird, and what I mean by that is like I like to party, I like to hang out with my friends, I like to dress the way that I like to dress, I like to do my hair.
When you went out, she liked to socialize and talk to people
And-
stuff like that.
And I could not be with a man that was going to try to pull me away from that.
Exactly.
Because then you weren't letting me be who I truly was. And then I wasn't going to be truly happy. So then why the fuck would I be with you?
Can I piggyback off of this?
Of course.
I was at work the other day and there was a girl who equally is like beautiful. She likes to post like, you know, like her out and her drinking and she's beautiful. And she has this kind of the same energy that I post on social media. And she said the same thing. She's like, I'm because the thing is a lot of people don't realize that with that type of girl, with that type of energy, with that type of persona, it does bring a lot of jealousy with the guys you date. Like it is actually crazy, not with me, but with other girls. Like it doesn't matter like what race or anything. It just it is so crazy how guys will just treat you like property when you are so outwardly yourself on social media. It is actually crazy. And it's not just me, it's someone else too. Like it's other girls too.
Well, you said earlier, but before I said that real quick, Felix, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much. And yes, you are always worth a response.
Hey,
and
baby.
Optimistically Cynical, thank you so much for joining us. I always appreciate your very abnormal comments. What I will say is this. You said this earlier. Wait, let me just go back to this real quick. oh God, I kind of like lost my train of thought, but you said something earlier that I wanted to like pick up on, which was like you were talking about like, oh, you said that some of the best interactions that you have had dating wise are men that don't know you from social media, right? Again, that further validates my point of how social media fucking corrupts your generation in dating. It's because if they have already seen, it's almost like listening to someone tell you about a movie, right? Like, for example, I want to go see Venom, right? And let's say you saw Venom yesterday and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna go see Venom tomorrow, and you were like, it's fucking trash, don't go watch it. That's it. You fucking have destroyed it for me, potentially, because now I already have this preconceived idea of what this movie is going to be about. So now I'm going to walk into the movie theater potentially already angry about what I'm about to see, or vice versa. Or maybe I'm happy about it. Maybe you tell me it was the best movie you've ever seen, and then I go there and I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be fucking great. And then the movie ends and I'm like, this is garbage. What the fuck was Jen talking about? I feel like that's what happens with social media. People see this version of you and they put all this shit in their head of what it is that they think Jen is. And then their own imagination builds something for them. And then when that doesn't play out for them, they're disappointed. But they're not disappointed in you. They're actually disappointed in their own imagination, which fucking fucks me up when I say that, because I feel like your generation is going to have such a hard time to get through. Like, how do you break through that wall? Because that's imaginary wall.
It is so funny that you say that, because I think one of the best compliments a guy can give me is, you're so genuine, you're so grounded, you're so down to earth. But that's after they see who I am on social media, and then they actually spend time with me, like, whoa, you're a real ass chick. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And I think it's so very few and far between the types of people that they keep that persona online. Like, fuck those people. Like, I dated a guy that he was so big on social media. Like, he's big on social media.
I remember this person.
And when I met him, like, and you know, I had FaceTimed him and we would talk, and I was very attracted to him on FaceTime. And like I said, I like to talk on FaceTime. And when I met up with him, he was like, yeah, I like to do this and I like to do that. I'm like, bro, you're like this all the time. Like, he was talking about cuddling me like 2 days ago.
So he was, but isn't that how he was acting when you guys were FaceTiming?
No,
so
he was actually being a normal human being.
So when you met him in person, that's all of a sudden he was a different person.
Yeah, and I left that day like, ew. And that's so weird.
That is weird.
Well, you have to think about it like this. If he's a big person on social media, you have the potential to ruin his cred.
Oh, and you know what? You were out in public with him.
Yeah, you have the potential. You have the potential to put things out in the open about him that don't hold up to who he is on social media. So, like, say for example, he's flossing in a Tesla on social media. That's not really the case. And then he shows up in a fucking Toyota Corolla, and then you take a picture of it, and then you tag him, and you're like, "This motherfucker shot!" Like, you have the power to do that. So he has to potentially keep up that facade.
It just sounds like he has like a public persona. Like, he just acts a certain way out in public. You know what I mean? Especially like, since he had a lot of followers, you said he was like kind of big on social media. Obviously, he has to act a certain way in public. You would always talk to him in private. So that persona was just always turned down. And so that's what you got. It just seems that way. And then when you met him in public, he naturally just had this whole other persona that he automatically turns on when he's in public, not realizing that he was already giving you the private persona.
Yeah, it was very strange. I felt like I was on Animal Planet. I was like observing him like, hello. Very strange.
Jen says she was on fucking Animal Planet.
You want some more Wonder?
Yeah, hang on 1 second. So Felix says, I also love Jen's point of view because it's straight facts. Two independent, strong-minded women. And I mean, at the top of the hour, I said, I don't know how the fuck we're friends. I know exactly why we're friends. Because when I met Jen, I was like, other than the fact that she said that she hadn't watched all of the Marvel movies yet, I was like, she's cool. She checks the boxes. And Frank, welcome to the stream. Long time no see. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah.
I remember the first time when you were telling me about Jen and she was like describing you, I was like, She sounds like this girl be doing a damn thing.
Yeah, well,
Aw.
Well, cause like you were going to school, you were working, like you were doing your thing, you know. And I think that's why you guys linked up.
well, it also has a lot to do with the fact that I'm very selective, especially now in my life, of who I bring into my circle. Because if you come into my circle, you're going to be around my husband. You're going to be around my children. You're going to be around my very good friends. So why would I want to? Because I made the mistake, I want to say about 10 years ago, bringing someone into my circle that was toxic to my life, to my family. And I vowed to never make that mistake again, because I was really trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I valued that person, but that person didn't value me.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of letting that happen. And I needed to realize that going forward, that even though I'm a good person, not everybody deserves that. And I need to make sure that the person that I interact with is deserving of who I am. But you and I were actually talking about this before we went live tonight, and we were talking about like what the pandemic did to people during this time. And I then found out that I'm a lot more introvert than I thought that I was. I thought I was like fully extrovert. The thought of being introvert I was almost fucking laugh at that shit. I'd be like, introvert, stay in the house. What are you, crazy? No. But what I didn't realize is that it was my ego that was making me think that I was an extrovert. It was making me think that I needed to interact with people. It was making me think that I needed to be heard and spoken to and doing things. And that's why I stopped posting certain things on social media. So when you say that someone doesn't post their significant other on social media and that is potentially that it's sketchy, I've come to understand now that social media, especially Instagram, it is not real. So why would I take the time to put my real life out there?
I think for some people, I think some people are just made up more romantically than others. And I think
I would agree.
Some people have a bigger part in their life for relationships, and some people don't value relationships as much. That's why I feel like there are men who are single until they're 70 because they don't value that as much as other people do. And I think for the people like me, when the time comes, maybe like that still would take up like a decent part of my life. Like I genuinely, that's like one thing that I dream about, is being in this, having like a great love. And but for other people, I know it's not like that. So that's why those people who see people like me, or see people who are like old timey, like, you know, hopeless romantics, they kind of shut them down, and they judge them for it. They're like, why are you posting all your stuff on social media? And it's like, your relationship should be private. Yeah, you don't see, I'm posting one picture of a date that we went on. You don't see everything. You don't see when we fight. You don't see when we have sex. You don't see when we're on dates. Like, you know.
You don't see us when we're chilling on the couch watching TV. You know, like.
You don't see him when he's popping my pimples. Like.
I would say that there are times that I definitely do. I share small snippets of my life, but there was a time at the height of Instagram that I did share more, because that's what Instagram was in the beginning. People were sharing pictures of their food when they went to the beach, and then the world of influencers came, and then social media became like a game. It became who could look better, who had more likes, who had more comments, you know, what girl looked more flawless, you know, what guy looked more fit, you know. That's what it became. So then that's when I started to scale back, because it no longer was like, you know, Instagram was meant to be a photo album. You get what I'm saying? It was for people to share their photos. So whereas like, I think one of the first times that you came over my house, I showed you a photo album and we looked at photos together, where now I don't have to wait for that to happen. Now you can just go through my Instagram and you can just see moments in my life. But then I realized that Instagram is no longer that. That's why I don't really share that much anymore. So I get what you're saying about sharing small moments. But what I will say is this, is that if you are a true romantic at heart, Jen, and that's what you want to do in your relationship, don't let anyone ever fucking shame you for that, because that person then doesn't value you as a person. Whether they're your friend, a family member, I believe toxicity comes in all forms. So like, if a person that claims to love you doesn't accept you for that person that you truly are, then they shouldn't have a space in your life, because then you're going to hide who you are from them, and you're never going to be comfortable around them. And I had to learn that the hard way.
I think right now it's not anyone that's making it, that's causing that influence.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's me preventing that. Right now it's me who's like, my cousins say it all the time, that I'm very avoidant and I'm very detached, and I have such a front with people that it's like it's so hard for guys to get there with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I that is my form of toxicity right now, and I'm working on it. But like it's so bad that a lot of people my age are like that they want this vulnerability and this sweetness and this fun part of dating, and they just won't allow themselves to get there. And what we were talking about earlier, you had mentioned what were you talking about? Well, you had said something that reminded me of people right now. They just, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay. We can come back to it. I'm gonna actually read some comments. So Frank said, and yes, Felix, of course. Frank says, letting people into your circle / private spaces means so much more after you turn 34, 35. You value your time and want to share it with people that are good for you. 1000% agree with that. And honestly, Frank, I rarely ever disagree with Frank. That's why he's one of the people in my circle. IG was fun at first. It was a place where we would parentheses stalk and keep tabs on people we don't even like. But I also, and I agree with that as well, but that kind of goes back to what I was saying, that I feel like now social media is like a race. And I feel like that's also a part of the problem with the dating now, is that like you see people that they go 0 to 60 on social media, right? Like they go from like, you know, like they're just starting dating their boyfriend, and the next thing you know, they're in Paris together. And then you start dating someone, and it's like now you kind of feel like you have to have that same catapult to that point because of what you see other people doing. The amount of times that I see people doing the same exact things on social media, but I know that they're doing it only because they see other people do it, it kind of blows my mind, because they're in essence losing who they really are at the same time. Because if they're only following what other people are doing, in the long run, they're going to realize that they've been quieting the true like Jen or the true Gina. You know what I'm trying to say?
What you said just made 4 ideas pop into my head.
Okay.
Going back to what we were saying. So now, because of the pandemic, it was way back before.
Mm-hmm.
People right now are super selective. Like they have such a high expectation, and they will hold out until they find like that person. Whereas I feel like we're your generation, like they'll have their boyfriends. Like I always compare me and my older sister. My sister, from the age she was like 15, 14 to now, she's always had a boyfriend. Like she has never been single by herself, and she's a millennial.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that your generation is more okay with having those, you know, those trials and errors and you know, and having those mistakes and those fuck ups. Whereas my generation, they're like, I don't even want to try. Like, and they the worst thing is they will fuck up and you never even fully dated them in the first place. Like, you were never my boyfriend, and you still are fucking up. Like, what? Like, they want everything that comes with the relationship without actually having that title, and that's the worst part of it. That's where, like, people get so mind-fucked, is because they're like, we spend all this time together, we do X, Y, and Z, and, you know, you will have, like, those mistakes, but it's not like a relationship where you introduce it to your mom and your dad and your cousins and your family and all that stuff, which is, it's so much worse.
So, I'm confused. I just need to clarify something. So, let's say you meet someone
Mm-hmm.
and you start dating.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, what from our generation, it would start with a couple dates, going out, having fun, getting to know each other. Obviously, there's some liking in between the two people, and then at some point, it may start to get slightly intimate as far as like physical, maybe
Mm-hmm.
holding hands, maybe like caressing, and then you know that there's something there. At some point, the conversation comes up. Like, I like you, you like me. I like to really get to know you. Do our dating goals align? And if they do, then let's move forward. If not, then maybe we shouldn't be doing this. I feel like that's established early on, and if they align, then okay, we're gonna
With my generation and
No,
yours.
with our generation.
Okay.
Does that not happen now?
That's out the window. Okay.
Oh,
so
shit.
so with a lot of girls, they're kind of tailored to not have that conversation.
What?
Because guys, there's like a quote that's always on TikTok and Instagram. It's like, if he wanted to, he would. There's like a stigma that like, if a guy really likes you, he'll take you out, he'll buy you things, he'll do X, Y, and Z with you, and he will just say, you're my girl. Whereas with you guys had that equal conversation. Girls will not even bother entertaining, like, oh, what are we? Because it just sends the guys to run away, because it does weed out the guys that don't want to take you seriously.
Right.
But a lot of the times, like, I don't ever ask that question. I just have a good time with you. If you don't like me, that's your loss, buddy. But like, that's just how a lot of girls are.
But I mean, can't you just like, doesn't it like just start off like on a real like innocent note, like, hey, like, you know, I kind of like you, you know, I hope you kind of like me, you know, like, what do you like? What are your ideas on like dating and relationships? You know, like, where are you with that right now? Like, you know, where's your like? Does a simple conversation like that scare the guy off?
If I were to say that to a guy, Evo, he would laugh at me in my face and be like, "What are you talking about?" There are some people like, okay, like I am not like, I know a lot of people think I date white boys, but like, I do date a lot of different types of people, and I don't care what their income is. I don't care what they do. Like, I am very open-minded to different people, because you never know what type of person might be for you.
Right.
And a lot of the times, like, I've dated someone consecutively for 2 or 3 months or 6 months or whatever, on and off, because I've been very busy. Like, I am a very busy person, and I never thought to have that conversation with them, because it's just like, I've had that type of love that they're just like, okay, I only want you. That's all I want. Like, they make it from the forefront, like, and they make it very known that they are treating me well, and they will go the extra mile and show me, and, you know, make the effort. And then there are guys who just, it's like pulling teeth to get like I don't know, like even a call or anything. And it's like, I don't even bother with that. Like, I don't entertain it.
Crazy.
Okay, I don't think it's crazy though, because all right. Wait, hold on. You gotta hang. You gotta hang. You gotta hang on a second, Evo. Okay, so Anthony says my generation. And Mark. Wait, first, Mark says that he's confused. Mark, you need to explain why you're confused. So Anthony says my generation avoids the "what are we" conversation like the plague. Felix says it scares the guy off, and then Mark says, so I'm guessing now after 2 to 4 weeks of hanging out, gifting, talking every day, the question of being an item will ruin it. And then Felix says, yes, it does 100% of the time. Okay, so
I feel like not having the conversation is ruining it.
Okay, wait.
Communicate.
You got to hang on a second. So, if you're saying that is it only coming from the woman? If the woman asks that question, then it scares the man off, or can the man also say that and it scares the girl off?
Okay, yeah, because guys
either way.
Guys have said that to me, and I am very, very forward from the beginning. I'm like, I'm the type of person that I need time to grow on someone else. I'm like, I need time to be vulnerable, and I need time for me to breathe. I'm like, because I just how I am. And then there'll come a point where maybe 2 months go by, and then I'm asked this question. And honestly, I think that if someone doesn't show me within like the time, like very early on, like that they're super interested in me, I'll just be like, we're not anything. You're just a guy I talk to, because I think that I have been displayed what I should be treated like. And in your trial, you didn't show me that, and in your free demo, you didn't show me that, then
they're just a guy.
You're just a guy. And I'm sorry. Like, I hate if that sounds mean, but I just feel like I am just up to a different standard now.
No, that doesn't sound mean at all.
I just wanted to make sure, because like the way you guys the way you two were talking about it made it sound like if it was only if the girl asked it. So you're saying it goes both ways. Mm-hmm. What I find so interesting about this is because you speak for your generation, right? Anthony, Felix, you guys speak for your generation. It's so interesting to me that you know that this is a problem, but then you still continue to do it. That's what's confusing to me about it. So like if you know that people from your generation have a hard time maybe having that conversation, then why not have that conversation? If you keep avoiding it, then it's always going to be a problem.
I think it just depends on the vibes. I think it just depends on. I think it's just because they're like, again, like I am very quick to pick up on how confident someone is.
Okay.
So there have been guys that are like, "What are we?" And I'm like, I feel like I'm your mom. Like I feel like they're like these little boys that like are and you know, at first impression they seem like someone I genuinely want to get to know, and then a week passed, 2 weeks, and then I start to see how they are, and I'm like, you're still so very immature, and I'm like. Because instead of asking me that question, you could have just said, you're my girl. We've been dating now for 2 months. You're my girl. Like, that's it. And then that to me is like how I tell the difference. Or if a guy's just, you know, I met someone the other day who was very, very confident. And I didn't initially think they were confident at all. And he blew my mind. He was so different. Mm-hmm. And he was actually very vulnerable with me. And I found that so attractive. So it's not that vulnerability scares me. It just depends on how they say it and what tone they say it to you. And because I was like, baby boy, are you showing me your emotions right now?
when I think about this though, I think about it in like the context of like how your generation was educated in school and how your generation was given a lot of things when you didn't potentially earn them. So it builds this like sense of like self-entitlement. Mm-hmm. But then it also creates this sense of insecurity, because then if you're not constantly rewarded for something, then you're just kind of like, well, then I don't know what's going on. And I feel like that rolls over into people's social life, mm-hmm. where they're so used to being like, oh my God, you're so great at this. You do such a great job. You're amazing. You could be a fucking astronaut. So when a guy then meets a girl and a girl's not doing that for him, he's like, this is not what I expected. Or vice versa. Or if a girl she's so used to being told on social media or in school that she's everything and she's amazing, and she meets a guy that's just kind of like, hey, what's up? You know, and he's not maybe drooling over her. She's not feeling like, well, this guy really wants me. So I feel like you guys are, I feel like your generation is like caught in like a weird, you're caught like in a weird, what's like a Twilight Zone. I just feel like it's like you guys are like going in like this vicious cycle.
I've thought about this.
Okay.
It's a race to see who could care less in my generation. 110%.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to
so
say.
Sad.
But I think that's what I'm trying to say. I just feel like you're constantly going in like this circle of like, do you like me? No, I don't like you, but I thought you liked me. And like I'm not really even understanding how it works. And I'm not trying to make it sound like your generation doesn't have successful relationships, because I know that they do, because my generation, we were a lot of fucking bullshit in our generation too. But it just seems like your generation is making it harder for yourself.
Let me talk about the roster.
Okay. The roster?
The rosters.
Okay.
Because I got a whole NBA lineup. No, just kidding. No. No, but there is like a roster for people in dating now. So it's not a matter of I don't like you, you don't like me. It's just like, no, it's just like, I like you, but I'm going to see who I like more. And if, you know, Joe Schmo takes me out on a date and he bought me flowers, I want to see what you do. Are you going to get my nails done? Are you going to do this? And it's like, I'm not saying I do that, but that's such a thing now. Like, and with guys, it's like, it's to see which girl is most available to you and to stroke their ego and to, because I dated someone a while ago that they were very into me. Like, they were like crazy toxic type of love with me. But then also they had little biddies. But I just think that he was just comparing us constantly. And I was so young and so naive. And I thought I was so in love with this kid. And for guys, it's more like who's more accessible, who's going to treat me more like, who's going to be more wifey to me and when it's most convenient. And with girls, it's just like, what are you going to do for me in regards to how are you going to help me further what I'm doing with like my hobbies or like with my habits or like, you know, that's how girls view it.
I'm gonna read some comments because we got quite a few that just came in. I think Felix said it the best. He said, you guys are like caught in the Matrix. It's like some of you are the majority of you are plugged in, and some of you are unplugged. If that makes sense. And then, so let me just read. Okay, so Mark says, before people only had from their school or neighborhood or hometown, but now SM makes the pool and ocean options. So that's interesting that he says that, because that makes me think about the next thing that I want to bring up as far as your generation and dating. It's actually a couple minutes to 9. And then Mark says, Gina, that guy is assed out. The one you explained. Okay, and hello, Melissa. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so the fact that Mark just said that social media now makes a pool and ocean, that makes me further think about the last thing that I think that your generation has that my generation did not have, and that is dating apps. Dating apps. When I was dating, and when I was like a young teenager to young tween, whatever you want to call it, and dating, Match.com I think came out like 1995, 1996, but like I don't really feel like anybody was using it seriously until like maybe the mid 2000s, right? So I heard a few people talk about it here and there, but it wasn't the primary source of dating, where I feel like now in-person dating is like a little bit more to the wayside versus online dating or app dating. And a quote that I read online that really struck me was, the virtual bar is always open. So whereas my generation, we physically had to get up and get out of our house to meet someone, whether it be in school, whether it be at work, whether it be at, an event or a club or whatever it was, that's how you met people, or through a friend. But it was never laying down in your bed, pulling out your phone and going, she cute, I'ma swipe right. So I feel like that puts another layer of confusion to your generation, because just like you said before, guys find it easy to compare you to someone else when they literally can pull another bitch right out their pocket. Am I wrong in saying that though?
You're right.
So like, if they see one thing about you that may be slightly off of what they think about Jen, they're going to be like, well, this girl, swipe.
Okay, so let me explain this.
Okay.
So
please do.
From the moment I downloaded Tinder and Bumble, it was like an instant like curiosity. It is for a lot of people my age now who are 22, 23, 24, 25. It's much more of like a game. Like you're just like, who's around? But you don't actually talk to people. But you don't actually like meet people. And the people who actually find someone and date them and actually go into a relationship tend to be more introverted people. Whereas after the pandemic, everyone was on, before the pandemic, everyone was on dating apps. Everyone was on social media. After pandemic, now it's like everyone ever wants to do is go to the bar and meet someone now. It's so different. And I think that's like the biggest change in our generation. Because it went from like, I remember like, because I deleted the app like a year and a half ago, but I would just like be out at night and be like, who's around? Like, okay. But it's such meaningless conversations. And like everyone will say the craziest things on those apps. Like the opening for me was that people like, it was just like whatever sexual favor was there to offer for me on the menu. Like for me.
Yeah.
They're like, hey queen, I want to do X, Y, and Z to you. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Up with that one.
No hi, no hello, how are you?
So let me get this straight. So what you're saying is now the pandemic made people realize that they no longer, so the pandemic basically took away the option of actually meeting people in person. So even if you did meet someone on Tinder that you potentially like, or Bumble, whatever the hell it was, let's say you actually did match with somebody, and then you would then potentially go out on a date. The pandemic took that away. So now people are like yearning for that interaction, is what you're saying.
They're horny.
Yeah.
They're so horny now. They're so horny.
So.
Literally.
Maybe that
like, oh my God.
Maybe that's why the rate of COVID is higher now in young people, because they're
so
like,
horny.
we can't fucking do this shit anymore. Hang on a second. I need to like move my leg. Okay. it's not crazy to me for people to meet via the internet, because when I tell you that, yeah, dating apps weren't a thing when I was dating, but we had other ways of communicating via internet, and we had chat rooms. And I remember being in a chat room, and you would be in there with a bunch of people, and I specifically would go to chat rooms where I knew people were looking to hook up, and it would be like, maybe I don't know if you ever heard of this because you said your sister was a millennial, but it's called ASL.
Okay, what is that? I know of it. People have asked me that on the internet.
Age, sex, location.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So, and if you did that, and then like what you could do is, if you were in a chat and then you kind of got like a little bit of a convo going with someone, if you wanted to, you could go into a private chat with somebody because you would be in a chat room.
Oh my God, you just resurfaced an old memory. The very first person that ever asked me that was a British boy, and it was on Uvu. And he was like, "Hey, yes, I love." And he's like, "You fit." He's like, "You're so fit." And I was like, "What does fit mean?" And he was just like, "You're so fit." He's like, "You got me buggered." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Oh my God.
And this was like when I was like 10 or 11 and everyone was just starting to use Uvu and stuff. Like, that just reminded me. I was like...
So Anthony says, I just check girls for if we could actually build anything. I don't want to build the girl up. She has to have some foundation. And then Felix says, app dating is hard and can be confusing, but once you weed out the weirdos, sometimes you find a good one. And I did. Aww.
There was one guy in a different state that I met on social media, and this boy was like so infatuated with me. Like, he had never, like, oh my God, he treated me so sweetly. And then like, it just didn't work out, mostly because of me. But
at least you can admit that.
yeah, but he's actually like a friend. Like, I although we're not dating, like, he's it's just like, I don't know, it was an unexpected friendship basically. Every now and again you find
I need to ask, is it a friendship on your terms? Like, are you the one that said that we should be friends? Did you friend zone this guy?
I'm like, you're my special friend.
Oh, okay. I get what. Okay. Okay. I was gonna. That's why I'm like, wait a second.
Oh,
What type of friend are we talking about right now? And then Mark is bugging right now because I said AOL. Yeah, AOL days, bro. Listen, I'm ASL. And listen, if you were really with it in the mid 2000s, you got a sidekick, and that's all you did. You were in chats with your friends, and you were in chat rooms. There were times where Evil would turn to. Yeah, there were times that Evil would turn to me in the middle of the night, and he was like, "If I hear that phone go bling one more time, I'm gonna throw that shit out the window." And I used to be like, "Oh my God, guys, I need to leave this chat right now." That was like my life for a long time. I mean, but me and Evil have been dating since my mid 20s, and we dated in my earlier 20s. I will say that I do think that my generation, because I am considered an exennial. So like, I'm right at the end of Generation X, right at the beginning of millennial, which allows me to understand both generations really well. I'll be honest, I identify more with millennial than I do Generation X, because there are some people in my generation, in the older generation, that have these ideas in their minds that are so antiquated that I so don't identify with, and it almost makes me dislike that part of my generation. Mm-hmm. But there's some of the more nostalgic things I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. But what I will say is that at the beginning of me and Evil's relationship, things weren't peachy. There was a lot of work that had to be done. And what makes me sad is that your generation, I don't think is not willing to do that type of work. Because social media and the internet makes you think that people go out and they just get it off the rip. Like, social media makes things look so instant. You know, like, you instantly look beautiful, or you instantly get to be, you know, you got a perfect body. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So it's like text messages are instant. Social media is instant. You know, that whole like, I got it right now.
You know what,
instead of waiting for it, like, think about all of the people that like were influencers, and then all of a sudden they blew the fuck up in like 6 months, and everyone's like, oh my God, everybody can do that.
Yeah.
And then people have this preconceived notion that could work for everybody, and then people forget about the people that did things for fucking years, and I guess the best example I can give is like when I think about this show, right? There are times I feel defeated when it comes to the show. There's times that I'm just like, should I just keep doing this? What the fuck? And then one of my favorite podcasters is Joe Rogan. I literally went back and looked at the beginning of his podcast. This man started that podcast over a decade ago. His first like 500, 600 episodes were just him and his friends. And it wasn't until like he got into the thousands where he was really interviewing like some real heavy hitters. But you know how many years it took him to get into like the thousands? It was like 5, 6, 7 years. But people only see what social media makes you think that, someone did it right away. And I feel like your generation, I feel you guys fall victim to that shit. And it sucks because I know that there's a lot of work that goes into like a long-term relationship.
That's why when you date me, you get a warning label. You get that's why I'm very candid about taking my time. So I would much rather go things slowly with you and have you be my friend than just rush into things, because I think that, not that I do it, but like I feel like I can get really crazy really fast. So it's not that I am. It's just it's there. The potential's in the back of my head, but I think a lot of girls are like that too. Like they would much rather not commit to anyone, because they would just rather just wait on something that's like really worth it. And I think it's because they see stuff like that on social media. They're like, okay, maybe it is worth the wait. Whereas I don't know. I think maybe guys in some realm, in some capacity, some of them would rather just have their little boo thing and then just have their little boo thing all around town and do all these relationship things and then not actually have a girlfriend, until they're they said it on Sex and the City when his light is on, when his green light is on, when he's ready to be serious. Because every guy who's stringing women along, they're on yellow. They're like in that middle. Yeah. Until they turn green. It's when they decide. You can have however many little girlfriends, however many little boo things that aren't actually your girlfriends, but until like they decide that it's your green light, where I think as women a lot of the time they're always on green. You know what I mean?
I would 1000% agree with that, and I can speak to that with me and Evo. When me and Evo first started dating, I was just like, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. He was like, no, we're not. Yikes. He was like, no, we're not. And then after 9 months, he was like, you want to be my girlfriend? I was like, what the fuck? I thought we were boyfriend and girlfriend this whole time. He was like, 9 months. Yeah.
You know what I had in 9 months? Motherfucker had a whole secret girlfriend.
Yeah.
On my back.
Woo! 9 months, I asked her to be my girlfriend. And then she was like, oh, yeah, sure. But like, I thought we were. And I was like, no. There's a whole side of me that you have no idea what it's like. And then I opened up the floodgates. And,
yeah, here we are, right? Mr. Jones says, wait. Where's my boy? Mr. Jones, welcome to the stream. Your boy is here. He is actually moderating on tonight for us, but he's also part of the conversation. We have lovely Jen with us tonight because we are talking about dating then versus now. And it only made sense to have someone here that actually can speak to now, because me and Eva would have been like going through notes like, what happens?
I told her like early in our dating that like, I like you. I enjoy spending time with you. I just need you to know that like we can like hang out all you want. I'm just like, I'm not ready to do any commitment stuff, and I just need you to know that. So like, if that's not okay with you, then maybe you want to invest your time somewhere else. But if you want to continue dating and getting to know each other and having fun, then like we can do that. I can give you that. I just need you to like, I just want you to know where I'm at and give you the opportunity to say, do you want to continue this or no? You know what I mean?
Evil said, do not collect $200. Do not pass go.
Because like I was just waiting for, I just wasn't ready for it. I'll tell a girl.
He was on yellow.
Yeah. But I'll tell a girl up front, like, I'm not gonna play games with her and have her think that, oh, if I date this guy long enough, maybe there's gonna be something serious there. I'm gonna let her know up from the beginning.
I was definitely on green.
Maybe something will change. Maybe something will change, and it did. It did with her. After like 9 months, I just naturally called her my girl. While I was talking to my boys, I was like, what are you going to do later? I'm like, I'm just going to get a haircut. I'm going to hang out with my girl.
Oh, wait, hold on. I want to read some comments real quick. So, Felix, thank you so much. He says, always keep going. This podcast is amazing. Mark says, yo, I want to be the one who said I support from the beginning. And Anthony says, if you ain't got discipline, you ain't got nothing. Do you know what that's from? It's a Mike Tyson quote. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast and he was like, if you ain't got discipline, You ain't nobody. You ain't, no, he says, you ain't nobody. And Felix says also, same, green all the way. And then Anthony also says, 9 months, Evo, damn.
I think the light situation from Sex and the City is very similar to what I said about the cycle. Like, all the people who are very hopeless romantics, like, who are genuinely ready for commitment, they're all on green.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the people who are stringing people along are all on yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, right now, I think I'm getting out of yellow. I think I might be still in yellow. I don't know. I'm undecided.
You're in yellow. You're like kind of like slowly transitioning.
Because when I was very first in my first relationship, because he was like, I like you. You're my girl. He's like, I don't want you with anyone else. He's like, you're my girl. One of the best relationships I've ever had. And then after that was, when we broke up, I was so confused because I was like, why is dating so complicated? I thought it was I like you, you like me. No, it's not like that at all. So then I went from being green to like very, very open and naive, thinking that everyone was going to be like that. And everyone was going to be like so willing to just like give each other a shot. But no, it's not like that with my generation.
Yeah.
I had to learn that it's not like that with my generation. And then I went from being like super hopeful and on that way to just like being the complete opposite in red.
Mm-hmm.
See, but some people would think that that's too forward. Like if a guy came across like, you know what, with that much confidence, like, you're my girl, all right. Like, some women,
He wasn't confident.
right? But that's like that almost comes off to some people, that might come off as arrogant. You know what I mean? Like, how dare you? Like, how dare you not give me the opportunity to decide for myself whether I want to be in this situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's my voice? Where's my opinion? Like, where do I get to say in this? And some girls don't like to feel that, like, that they don't have a voice.
Well, let's put it this way.
Wait, hang on. I want to read some comments real quick. So Melissa says, I've always been a serial monogamous, never not really in a relationship, even if they didn't know. Oh my God. That actually sounds like a psychopath is what that sounds like. Wait, and Mr. Jones says, and I just want to let you guys know, it's actually 9:12, so we're about 15 minutes until the end of the live. And Mr. Jones says, I was on yellow, and Ness took me out to dinner and split, but I got her ass back, baby. And then Felix says, cause Jenna bad bitch. I want you to say what you want to say, and then once you're done with that, we're gonna go on to our top 5 for tonight, so that we don't go over in time, because we know how I feel about that.
The reason why I was so forward with saying yes to him was that he had such a big crush on me for like a year, and I had another boyfriend, and then I finally had said yes, and he like took me, like, he had bought me like a $200 necklace like on our first date, and like we went to like such a like fancy restaurant, and like I was 15 and he was 17. I'm like, and he had already made like that so much more effort than my first ever boyfriend had ever made in that whole year that I was with him. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, like, we starting off like this is
great. Yeah, I'm like, okay, like I was not expecting that. Okay. I was not expecting that at all.
What I will say is this, is that your life right now is just teaching you what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And so that when you go to green, Jen, you're going to know exactly what you do want. And I hate to say this may sound so cliche, but you are young. And enjoy being young, because you will only be the age that you are now at this moment in time. You will never be any other age. And coming from a person that has been where you are, except for the fact that I had 2 children by the time I was at your age, which is very different. I was still young, and I still like to hang out, and I still like to party, and I still wanted to date. Enjoy your time, because as long as things may seem, sometimes it's also really short. Like, people will lead you to believe that life is really long, as it is, but also things happen really fast at the same time. You'll blink and be like, for example, you being done with school. Do you look back and go, oh my God, I can't believe that that's done? But while you were in it, you felt like it was the most grueling thing that you were ever going through. But then you look back now, it's going to be almost a fucking year that you're done with school. You see what I'm saying? So like things go really quick, but then they take really long at the same time. It's like this weird cycle. But I'm going to end with that, and then we're going to get into our top 5 for tonight, which I think we're going to have a lot of fun with. So like, I want to give us some time to talk about it.
Can I announce it?
Of course you could. You could. All of them?
No, just what it is.
Yeah, be my guest. Be my guest. Be my guest.
So tonight, our top 5 is our top 5 deal breakers or icks when it comes to early dating.
Yes, early dating, which means like, maybe you've gone on a couple dates, and you just kind of like, I'm feeling this person, but I'm still yellow.
I'm still yellow, and I still have to make a couple judgments.
I'll actually start off with number 5 because so Jen and I decided that we would share the top 5 and that some of the things on the top 5 are, some of them are mine and some of them are Jen's, but the first one, which is number 5, is mine. And please don't judge me for this, but it's a 100% deal breaker for me, and it is like bad hygiene, but more specifically like like dirty fingernails or like wax in your ears. Bro, if I like going to kiss you and you have like
a golden nugget,
you got like wax in your ear, or okay, and I'm gonna tell you why dirty fingernails is the nastiest thing when it comes to women, is because men love to touch women with their hands, and they love to put them in places that potentially may be super intimate, right? Mofo, if your nails or your fingers are dirty, don't bring that shit by me.
You're asking for a UTI. For a yeasty boy.
But what I'm saying to you is, we're learning a lot of new terms tonight. I said something earlier that Jen was like, what is that?
Situationships is a new term.
Situationships?
Yeah,
I've been in a lot of situationships. It sucks. It sucks, bro.
Like the situation turned into a relationship, but it's only a situation. God damn, that's rough.
And look, and Felix also says oral hygiene. Oh, I would so fucking 1000% agree with oral hygiene. Maybe that's even, I don't know. And listen, to add to the dirty fingernails, I also have like a weird thing about like stubby fingers. And what I mean by stubby is like, you know, like some men, they will like cut their nails very straight. They'll cut them so short that like you'll see more skin than you do nail. I don't know, their fingers look like sausages to me, and I just
Is the nail like pressing down on the bed of the
oh,
like,
and I just think about them like trying to caress me with those fingers, and I'm like, oh, those are sausage fingers.
No, because let me talk about bad breath.
Okay.
Oh my God. I hate it with a burning passion. You see the distance we're at?
Yeah.
And like I can smell your breath from here.
Mm-hmm.
That is so nasty.
Well, she doesn't mean my breath, ladies.
No. Not your breath. But like when I'm on a date with a guy and like we're at this distance, and I could smell your breath.
Oh my God.
Because like it's not even if they smoke cigarettes or weed or whatever. It just reeks like something crawled in there and died.
Yeah, that's halitosis. That's what that's called. It's halitosis. It's basically like the best way I can describe it. And why do I know this? I don't know, because Gina thought one day she was gonna be on fucking Jeopardy. She knows all these random ass facts. But halitosis is basically like your stomach is a little bit higher, and it releases like a gas out of your mouth. And while you're talking, it releases while you're talking.
Or they're just fucking nasty. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying that could be one of the reasons. But yes, it could definitely, because I could tell you. Oh my God.
No, I need to just add a little asterisk in this. I have literally stopped talking to a guy because his nose hairs were way too. You needed a weed whacker to go into them bitches. Oh my God. There was the second time I've seen this guy, and I looked at him and I was like,
the same one from last time you seen him still hanging out.
His nose hairs were talking to you, Jen. They were like, "Hey, how you doing?"
They were like,
"How are you today?"
Hey, little mama, let me whisper. Oh my God.
So let's move on to number 4, and I'll let Jen do this one because number 4 is actually Jen's, and I would say I agree with you wholeheartedly on this one, though.
Oh my God. So I can tell you, I think this has happened to me 4 times, but a big deal breaker for me in dating when it's early on is when a guy questions or judges the close relationship I have with my family. And I can't tell you, it's like a specific tone that they say. They're like, oh, you're really close with your family. No, because you know who would have argued that? Fucking Ted Bundy. You know who would have loved that? Ted Bundy would have been like, oh, he would have loved girls who are not close with their family.
You need to distance yourself.
Exactly. Like
I never thought of it like that.
I never thought about that either.
Exactly. Like you don't
want to get your family.
You don't think what's his face? Jeffrey Dahmer was like, oh, yeah, you're really close with your family. Like
Well, Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay, of course, because I know this like a fucking weirdo. Jeffrey Dahmer was a whole nother entity in himself. But
What do you mean you're close with your mom? How dare you?
Ted Bundy, I would definitely agree with that. He'd be like, "Oh, you don't have a relationship with your mom? You live with just your girlfriends? You're working home by yourself? Great."
I bet you Ted Bundy loves girls that were not close with their family, who don't have fathers, have daddy issues. I bet he was living off of that.
You're like, motherfucker, I got a clan, right? Let's just be clear.
I'm gonna tell you something that I read really recently that kind of blew my mind about the statistic of girls and guys and the way that they interact with people based on their childhood. So a girl or guy that was brought up in a childhood that had experienced a lot of trauma, and trauma in the ways of multiple types of trauma, like, you know, maybe their parents were drug addicts, maybe there was abuse in the household, maybe someone went to jail, like multiple levels of trauma. Those people have a tendency of going out into the world and being less susceptible to situations like that. They're less susceptible to rape. They're less susceptible to people who are potential killers, or they don't engage in certain like activities that have like a lot of risk in them, because for a large portion of their life they lived very flight or fight. So they're always like very what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they're very precautious about the things that they get into, versus a girl or a guy that was brought up in a household that was very loving and very open, and they go out into the world and they're very naive. And they think that everyone has their best interest at hand. So someone like Ted Bundy would be like, oh, you know, like, you brought up in a good household or whatever it is. True. Why don't you come take a walk with me? And they'd be like, all right, it's fine. And me, I'm like, motherfucker, get the fuck out of here. I fucking walk with you. And me and Evil used to talk about this all the time, because Evil's had, real talk, we've talked about this before, Evil's had one night stands. I've never had a one night stand. And I'm like, you were not worried about getting fucking thrown in the trunk? And Evil was like, no, I was just having a good time. I was like, I was always worried about getting chopped the fuck up.
Okay, I have had so many girlfriends that I'll go out with, like, it'll be just me, a gay friend, and like a girl and another girl. And there'll be like one or two girls that will always go off with a guy. I'm like, are you guys just not scared of getting an STD or getting pregnant from a random stranger or just being murdered? Like, I got trust issues. Like, I could never bring myself to do that.
But I want you to look at that as a good thing, because that is preventing you from interacting into a lot of situations that could be severely damaging to you in your adult life, where, because you have trust issues, things may have happened to you when you were younger that now have developed into that, which will keep you away from certain things. So, like, look at that as a good thing. I never thought that. I used to be like, oh God, these fucking bitches out there having a good time over here. I'm over here like a granny. Like, nah, I'm just gonna go home, man. And now I realize that, like, I saved myself from a lot of fucked up situations. So I thought that was really interesting when you were saying, like, Ted Bundy would like if a girl wasn't like that. But you'd be surprised that it doesn't even take that. It could just be that the girl or the guy grew up in a really good home and they were just like, everybody's nice.
That's what my sister says about me. She's like, you're so sheltered. She's like, God forbid you ever move away. Like, she's like, you're not ready for the world. I'm like,
let me ask you a question, right?
I think you'll be all right.
So I feel like this is my own personal opinion. Don't judge me for it. But I feel like that with the one night stands that I had are that those girls that night, because when a girl decides that she wants to have sex with a man, she decides before she goes out. Like, tonight, I'm getting laid, right? I feel like that's how it happens for a girl, right? And I just happened to run into a girl at a bar or something like that made that decision that night, right? It wasn't me pursuing like these one night stands. It was like I met a girl, she really liked me, and then she really started coming on to me, right? And it just led to a one night stand. So like the girls that you say you go out with, and then they end up leaving with a random guy. Isn't it them that night that before they even went out, they have to have decided, like, I'm going home with a guy tonight? Does that not? It
depends. Like, sometimes I'll be like, it's just us girls, and then like half an hour later we're like, where's Sheila? And Sheila's like,
yeah.
But you don't think that Sheila decided when she was getting ready before she came out, like, I'm getting some dick tonight?
No, but like, it depends.
No,
some nights they are, some nights there are, and then some nights they're not.
Okay.
I think alcohol takes a big part in that, Evo.
Okay.
I think alcohol will put a battery in your back in a way that you never thought it would do.
Alcohol brings out the testosterone in a woman.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why one of the reasons why I would never really get like that drunk, or I would never get high in I would get nice, but I wouldn't get to the point where I couldn't control myself per se, because
Like, here, take another one.
yeah, sure. You want me to buy you a drink? Because I need you to loosen the fuck up.
Can I have a confession to make?
Wait,
Sure.
let's move on to number 3.
Let me just make my confession real quick.
Okay.
I love going to the bars and getting free shots and not having to do anything afterwards. And I'm like, bye.
That's actually, you know what? I have a funny story about that. When I was like 19, my mom got me and my friends into a club, and she was like, "Listen, girls, you can come here. You could have a good time. You could dance. No drinking." We were like, "Sure, great." She went upstairs to the Spanish room. We were like, I went to the bar, and some guys were like, "You want to drink?" I was like, "Yeah, me and my friends, thank you." We had a great night that night. That's needless to say. So I feel you on that. So let's move on to Actually, I'm sorry. Number 3 for you. This is actually yours, Jen.
Okay. So, number 3 for me, and I know if it's for a lot of girls who are 20 and older who just are out of college and out of high school, any guy who is of age and still uses Snapchat like they're still in high school. And this is a red flag app for those of you who don't know, because Snapchat allows you to be sneaky instead of being straightforward. Because who are you sending private messages to? Like, why are you hiding so much?
Well, I think one of the one of the biggest features of Snapchat is the fact that you could send a message and how many seconds later does it disappear? Is it like
Snapchat?
Yeah,
you can set a timer on it.
Oh, really?
So before Snapchat, you could just literally just send a picture, and it was one picture. You can I think it was 5 seconds, and it was automatically 5 seconds. Then they added videos, then they added the timer onto the pictures, then added chat, and the chat goes away unless you want to save the chat. And then the majority of people don't save the chat. And then now with Snapchat, if you if someone screenshots your messages, it sends an alert to the person in the message. And then now there's stories, and then like Snapchat is just infinitely sneaky.
You know that there's a way around this the screenshot.
What?
So like if you sent me a picture, right? You sent me a picture, and right when you sent me the picture, I put my phone on airplane mode. Takes it off the network. Take the screenshot. Then you delete the app. Shut your phone off, and you do like this power cycle, and then go back in and log in.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Right?
I'm like, damn, I'm too old for this shit.
Right? I'm like, oh my god.
I saw somebody do it. Like they did it on video.
Eva, I'm so glad that you said that, because I was about to be like, how the fuck do you know that?
You know I know that shit.
Felix said thank you to Eva.
No,
Oh
he's not saying thank you to Evo. He's saying thank you to me because I muted somebody on that was like, oh my god, I'm your daddy.
Oh my god.
Did we have a one of those?
Yeah, we had one of those. It's great though. And his the screen name is 9 inches for your little booty.
Oh my god, I understand. But the thing is about Snapchat is that I have no problem with people dating multiple people. I really don't. At one point, I genuinely did, because I was a lot younger and I, had a very different expectation to dating. But right now,
Wait, what would you consider yourself? Would you consider yourself a monogamous, or would you consider yourself someone that is open to poly?
Right now I'm single, and we're talking, and you have not told me we are this. It's open season. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Okay.
You too, but there are people who just tend to be with me and, feel the need to put me in this box. And like, again, I feel like I attract very jealous people, very possessive people. And I'm like, you would complain a lot about me doing X, Y, and Z, going out and posting pictures. And I'm not saying that I do talk to multiple people, but like the idea of that like freaks them out. I'm like, you talk a lot of shit for someone who will not commit to me. Ain't that funny?
Well, I 100% concur with you, because when I dated, and I was dating Tom, Harry, and Juan, and that's how I did it. But I just want to be very clear: when you date multiple people, the multiple people should know about each other. I think that's part of the issue. So, like, if you're dating multiple guys, all of the guys should know that you're dating other men. And I think that's where the problem lies, because then it's seen as a game.
No, because if, for example, I'm talking to multiple people, and I'm not saying that I am right now, but if I am
an example,
and let's say that, you know, I'm just casually talking to them, having conversations with them, calling them, FaceTiming them, going on dates at different times, and then like maybe there's one that I enjoy having sex with, and if I'm having safe sex with them, like 100% safe sex, and they don't bring it up in conversation, I don't think that they're entitled to it. They're not entitled to that information.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of when I think that type of information can be relayed. So, for example, if you're on the phone with one guy and you're like, I'm about to go, and he goes, where are you going? Or like, what are you about to do? And you're about to go on a date with another guy. What are you going to say?
I'm going to say I'm going out with a friend because I'm not lying. Because this goes back to the conversation I had earlier.
But why would it be a friend if you're dating that guy?
Because in the beginning of dating someone, I don't put them on that where you're just a guy, number one, to me. Number two, then you become a friend. Number three, if you get that lucky, you can be someone to me.
I don't know. I feel like
that's just how I date.
Wait, that sounds like a little conflicting to me because if they're your friend, then then you shouldn't be dating them. So if you're dating them, you should just say, I'm going out on a date with a guy.
No.
Oh, that's fine. And listen, you could do things however it is, but that to me leads a little bit to like an illusion. But before you chime in, Evo, because it is now 9:31 and we still have 2 of our top 5 to go. Okay, so we're gonna move on to number 2, and number 2 is mine. And I'm sorry if other people feel differently about this, Evo, but this is a deal breaker for me. Sharing food. Do not touch my food. On Evo and I's second date, as I was having conversation with him, I was just like, blah, 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 blah. And Evo goes, great, are you going to eat that? And he just reaches over and takes 2 fries off my plate. When I tell you flames could have shot right the fuck out of my ears, they would have. Okay, and the reason why there is an exception to the rule is because I hadn't gotten to the point to even let you know that was a deal breaker for me. And then by getting to further know you, I knew that what you did was part of who you were. You were brought up to share food. I then went out with you and your family to eat, and I watched these people eat like they were cavemen. They were just like, and they were just like eating off each other's plates, and that's who Evo was. So like what he did was natural to him. But the reason I don't like people to touch my food, and I don't like sharing my food. So, like, if you want fries, you should have got your own fries.
It's funny, but little did she know that me reaching over to her plate and eating her food with her was actually a sign that I liked her.
Yeah.
Okay,
great.
So here's my thing.
Even though he critiqued my eye makeup that night, but that's fine.
I am the type of person that whether it be my parents or my sisters or, like, friends, I'm the type that I will order something and I know I will never finish it. And I'm the type also I very rarely eat leftovers. So I would much rather go 50-50 with someone if they want to. But then but if they want to.
Okay, so we've been together almost 20 years now. When I tell you we go out to eat now and I'm just like, hey, why don't you get this and I'll get this and we can share. Because like I know the dynamic now. But in the beginning when I ordered my burger and fries, don't touch my fucking fries.
He was like,
No, you know what it was? Like we're sitting there eating, and I'm like literally 3/4 of the way done with my meal, and she hasn't even touched her fries yet. Like she's like, we're still working on our burger, and I'm like, them things are getting cold, like you know. And in my mind, I'm thinking like she's not gonna want them. Then I might eat them, but they're gonna be cold.
Don't touch my fries.
Now. I'm gonna go in right now.
Yeah, no.
I really want one.
Evo's mindset, and then okay, so I'm gonna read some comments. So Felix says, guys nowadays can't handle their ego, would be so bruised, fragile masculinity, 1,000%. And then Mr. Jones says, yo, why we alike? I can't stand that with Ness. Like, because, listen, I don't know. Maybe it's a Capricorn thing. Maybe it's like we just have a hard time. I feel like we work so hard for shit. It's just like, this is mine. If you want some, get your own. Please do not touch my mocha cafe latte from just get your own. I don't want to venti. I don't want to share with you. Get your own shit.
You benefit from the fact that I like to share my food because when she's hungry, she will literally reach over and take the last bite out of my hand.
I will, but you know why? It's because he likes to share.
See,
but I don't.
You see this?
What's wrong with that? If that's how he likes to do things.
I love sharing. I think
have no problem just taking the last bite out of my hand.
I think your stubby fingernails give it more flavor. So.
The both of you goodbye. So and Vanessa says, "Damn, Capricorns don't like sharing." We sure don't. Us goats, we like to take our fries and go to the top of the fucking mountain. Leave us the fuck alone.
I got something that makes me
And I'm a Cancer, and I'm like.
So let's move on to number 1, and then we're gonna fucking wrap it up for the night. And I tell you, sometimes this hour and a half seems like a long time, and then it fucking flies. So the number 1 for the night, Jen is gonna take us away on that because it is her number 1, and then we have one honorable mention, just real quick.
You wanna know how to piss me off in the beginning of dating? I hate with a burning passion when guys will persistently ask you out on a date, and you're like, meh, no thank you, maybe another time. And they ask you, I will invite you out on a date with me for dinner, for Dave and Buster's, for bowling, whatever, and they don't offer to pay the full thing. Bro, you did all of that just to not pay. What was the reason? Like, literally, like, you want to get smacked. Like, you want these hands. That's what you want.
You know, I hear that TikTok in my hair right now. What was the reason? Because I would firmly agree with you on that. I have no idea why a man or a girl, because there are women that are dating women, there are men that are dating men, whatever the case is. If you are pursuing somebody and you are asking them out on a date and you don't pay, you're a fucking clown. I don't care.
Because also, there's a difference between asking to hang out or meeting up for dinner. If we're meeting up for dinner, I will assume that I'm going 50-50 with you. However, if you're like, baby girl, I want to take you out. No, you are going to pay for this meal because I got ready. You know, I could have gone out with someone else who would have paid for the full thing. And it's not about money. It's just the principle. Because si alguien te invita, sos invitado. Like, I'm invited, okay? Like, that shit gets me so mad. Like
you have been cordially invited.
I've been cordially invited to this date. And your ass is paying for it. Because I could have been at home watching fucking, what was it?
Shit Talk Fridays.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh my god.
And I know that Felix just said facts, Gina, but I read that real quick and it said farts, Gina. And I was like, what the fuck? It's actually it's time for us to come to the end of life. But I'm actually gonna say the last it's an honorable mention. The reason why I thought we should say it, because it's actually really funny. And this was Jen's, but she said honorable mention is guys who think that EDM is the best music. And the reason why I thought that was so funny is because I can't tell you how many times I've met guys and they'll be like, I only listen to hip hop. And I'd be like, that's fucking great. Goodbye.
I got into an argument the other night with a white man who was like, so what do you like to listen to, babe? And I was like, everything. And they're like, do you like EDM? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, EDM is the best music genre. And I was like, yeah, it's all right. He's like, it's all right. He's like, you don't get lifted with EDM. And I was like, not really. I like to listen to it when I'm painting or something. And he's like, no, this shit gets me hype. He's like, you can't dance to EDM. He's like, what do you listen to? Rap? He's like, what do you listen to? Reggaeton? And I'm like, I like to listen to music I can dance to because I actually have rhythm. And he was just like, you're probably like one of those ratchet girls. You're probably one of those rap guys' girlfriends.
I'm like, no, actually your mom is. Goodbye.
No, it was like your mama and your brother and your sister. Bye. That was the end of that.
Oh, bendito. You know what it is? Because you were his dream, Jen. Do you know how many white people look at Latinos and they're like, she is my dream. That is my dream.
I think most white men are intimidated by a Latino.
Yeah, well, because, listen, we'll either make you really happy or we'll stab you. It's one or the other.
You know what this guy said to me? He's like, his friend was like, I'm going to say candidly, his friend was coked out. He was looking at me like, his friend was coked out. Okay? And this guy, like, he was like, yeah, I bet she likes going to Barcode on Elizabeth. and then he was like, yeah, it's super ratchet. He's like, do you like going to Barcode? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, brah, she's one of those. And then I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I was like, are you mad because I can actually
These
dance?
are the dudes that would go into barcodes, spend all of their money.
They'd be like this.
And come out with no numbers.
And then be like, yeah, she's bad, bro. And then just be like, with their drinks in their hand.
They would stand there all fucking night.
Yeah.
The audacity.
They
oh
would,
my
they
God.
would, oh my God, Eve, you took the words right out of my mouth. I'm like, playing the wall.
And then he had the audacity and he's like, yo, you want to dance for me right now? I'm like, bro, I'm not a monkey. Like, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm like,
because
what?
I'm telling you, you are their fantasy.
For real.
I can't tell you how many times I've been approached by white men, and I have been their fantasy because they have been programmed to bring home the girl that fits the way that they have been told that they should be. But when they engage in fun, they seek out their fantasies, and that's what we are to them. But anyway,
Listen, any white man
but
that dates a Latino,
I said, but anyway, because it's 9:40. We're not going any further for the rest of the night. We're gonna hold that conversation for another time. We have a whole nother Friday. And hopefully we'll make this a trifecta again, because Jenna had a great time with you tonight. I hope you had some fun with us being here on Shit Talk Fridays. We will be here with you next Friday, and I'd like to announce it ahead of time. You will have us for the next, I think, 3 Fridays. Friday, October 29th. I'm letting you guys know a month in advance. We will not be with you because we will be in a Disney. We will be on vacation with our family, but you will have us for the next 3 Fridays. So please feel free to join us next Friday, live, always at 8 p.m. for Shit Talk Fridays. But until next time, everybody, peace out.
Bye.